Hello, thank you for clicking on this video. Some months ago, we received experience from this senior. He told us his heart stopped for 4 minutes, and in those 4 minutes he saw something. He saw the future. He saw 2026. He saw 2027. He saw what is coming for all of us starting from August. We did not know what to think at first. We prayed about it. We prayed for many days, and we felt in our hearts that this is real. This is true. This is a warning that God wants us to share with you. This is not to scare you. This is to prepare you. This is to wake us up. This is to save lives. I need you to do something right now. Before you watch, before you listen, look at the comments section below. I want you to type where you are watching from. We are going to pray for you. We are going to pray for your city. We are going to pray for your family. We believe in the power of prayer. We believe that when we pray together, God hears us. We believe that prayer protects us. Prayer prepares us. Prayer changes things. I will begin sharing this experience. Hi, beloved brothers and sisters. On the day I died, I was lying in the hospital bed. The lights were too bright. I remember the nurse was adjusting something on my arm. Then there was this feeling, like someone pulled a plug inside me. My chest felt empty. I heard the machine make a long beep. People started moving fast. A doctor shouted something. I wanted to say I am here, but my mouth would not open. My eyes were open, I think, but everything was getting dark at the edges. Like when you stand up too fast, but this was different. This was forever. I was not scared at first. I was just surprised. I thought, is this it? Is this how it ends? I'm only 43. I have children. I wanted to see them again. I felt tears on my face, but I could not feel my face. The room got smaller. The sounds got far away. Then I felt myself. I do not know how to say this. I felt myself coming out of myself. It was gentle, like slipping out of wet clothes. I looked down and I saw them working on my body. Someone was pushing on my chest. I saw my wife in the hallway. She was crying. I wanted to go to her, but I could not. Something was pulling me up. I was floating now. I was above the hospital now. I could see the roof. I could see the cars in the parking lot. Everything was very clear. The colors were different, more real. I know that does not make sense, but that is how it was. I was not cold. I was not warm. I just was. I started moving up faster. The city got small below me. I saw the river. I saw the bridges. I thought about my life. I thought about things I did wrong. Things I should have said to my mother before she died. Regrets came like waves, but I could not hold on to them. They just passed through me. I was in a tunnel now. That sounds strange, I know, but it was true. It was dark around the edges, but there was light far ahead. Very white light, not painful to look at, inviting. I felt peace, real peace. The kind I never felt in my life. I was moving toward that light, and then I heard it. A voice, not with my ears, with something else, with my whole self. He said my name. He knew my name. He told me. No, he did not use words exactly. He put understanding directly into me. He revealed to me that I had to see something, that I had to know something. I did not understand why. I thought maybe this was judgment. I thought maybe I was going to see my sins. I was ready for that. I was prepared to see every bad thing I ever did. But that is not what happened. He showed me. He revealed to me that I had to see the future, our future, the world's future. I did not want to. I was afraid. He revealed to me that beneath the surface, warm water was building up. A lot of warm water, miles of it. This was El Nino, I understood, but not a normal one. This was something bigger than any El Nino that humans had measured. This was the strongest one in more than 100 years. The warm water was moving east. Usually the trade winds push warm water west. But he showed me the winds were stopping. The winds were getting weak. Some places, the winds were going the wrong way. Backward. Then he showed me the calendar. He revealed to me the timing. It will start a day before August ends. That is August 30, 2026. That is when the signs will begin. The changes will start then and continue through September, October, November, December 2026. 4 months of building, 4 months of warning. Then 2027 will come. And that is when it gets worse. That is when the full heat arrives. The year 2027 will be the worst of it. But it begins in late August 2026. That is when people must start watching. That is when people must start preparing. I saw the temperature numbers, 3 degrees above normal, then 4. Then in some places 6 or 7 degrees above normal. The fish were confused. They were swimming in wrong directions. The coral was turning white. I could feel the coral dying. He showed me that this warm water changes everything. The Pacific Ocean has a fever and the whole world will feel it. The water evaporates more when it is hot. This changes the rain. This changes the wind. Everything is connected. I saw how one warm ocean touches every life on Earth, and I started to cry. Then he moved me. He showed me the land. I saw 2027. I saw the year clearly. It was the hottest year that any human had ever recorded. The global temperature was 1.8 degrees above the old normal. That does not sound like much when you say it fast. 1.8, but it is everything. It changes everything. It changes how people live. It changes who lives and who dies. I saw cities, big cities. I saw Phoenix first. The sidewalks were too hot to walk on. People were staying inside during the day. The sun was burning everything. The asphalt was soft like it was melting. I saw a man try to walk to his car. He had to run back inside. His shoes were sticking to the ground. The rubber was melting a little. He was crying from the pain in his feet. He had only walked 10 steps. 10 steps and his shoes were damaged. That is how hot it was. I saw Delhi. I saw millions of people, the poor people. They suffered most. They do not have air conditioning. They do not have good houses. They have concrete rooms with tin roofs. The tin gets so hot you cannot touch it. I saw an old woman in a small room. She was lying on the floor because the floor was cooler than the bed. The bed was too hot to sleep on. She was breathing very slow. She was trying to survive. The heat was like a heavy blanket that you cannot take off. She had a fan, but the fan was blowing hot air. It was not helping. She was alone. Her family had gone to try to find water. She was too weak to go with them. I wanted to help her. I wanted to give her water, but I could not. I was just watching. This was the future. This was 2027. I saw children, little children. They were cranky and crying. Their mothers were trying to cool them with wet cloths, but the cloths got hot in minutes. The bobbies had heat rash, red skin. They were uncomfortable all the time. They could not sleep. When bobbies cannot sleep, mothers cannot sleep. Everyone was tired. Everyone was angry. I saw workers, construction workers, farm workers, people who must work outside. They were starting work at 4 in the morning before the sun came up. They would work until 9 in the morning. Then they had to stop. It was too dangerous to work after 9. The government made laws about this. No outdoor work when the wet bulb temperature was too high. I did not understand this word wet bulb, but I understood it means heat plus humidity. When these two things are together, it is dangerous. The body cannot cool itself. The sweat does not dry. The body gets hotter and hotter inside. This kills people. I saw a construction site. A man collapsed. His friends ran to him. They carried him to the shade. They poured water on him, but he was not waking up. His skin was red. His heart was beating too fast, then it stopped. He died there on the ground because he was trying to work to feed his family. He was 32 years old. He had 3 children. I saw this. I saw his spirit leave his body. I knew he had 3 children because somehow I just knew. God showed me this detail. This man was real. This will be real in 2027. I saw farmers in fields. The sun was burning their skin. Crops were dying. Corn was turning brown. The soil was cracking. It looked like broken pottery. The cracks were deep. You could put your hand in them. The farmers were looking at the sky, waiting for clouds that did not come. Some of them were praying. Some of them were just standing there. They had no more tears. The heat took the tears. Their eyes were dry. Their mouths were dry. They were drinking water, but it was not enough. You cannot drink enough when it is this hot. You lose water faster than you can drink it. I saw a farmer named, I think his name was Joseph. He was in a place that looked like the middle of America, Iowa or Kansas. He was kneeling in his field. His corn was dead, all of it. 600 acres of dead corn. He had invested everything in this crop. He had loans from the bank. He could not pay the loans now. The bank would take his farm. His family had farmed this land for 4 generations, 120 years, and now it was ending because of heat, because the rain did not come, because the sun was too strong. He was holding dry soil in his hands. He was letting it fall through his fingers. He was whispering something. I think he was praying, or maybe he was just talking to the dirt, asking it why. But the dirt did not answer. The dirt was dead too. I saw grocery stores. The prices were very high. A bag of rice that cost $10 before now cost $40. People were standing in lines. They were counting their money. They could not buy enough food. The heat had destroyed the crops. Less food means higher prices. This is simple economics, but it means children go hungry. It means parents skip meals so their children can eat. I saw a mother put back the bread. She could not afford it. She bought only rice, plain rice, nothing else. Her face was sad. She was trying not to cry in the store. She waited until she got to her car. Then she cried. I saw her. I saw this in 2027. At night, the temperature did not go down. Usually night brings cool air. The sun goes away and the air gets cooler. People can sleep. People can rest, but not in 2027. The nights were hot too. The lowest temperature at night was still 30 degrees. Sometimes 32 degrees, that is 88 or 90 Fahrenheit, at night. At 3 in the morning, people could not sleep. They were tired all the time. When people do not sleep, they get sick. Their bodies are weak. Their minds are confused. Tempers were short. People were angry because their bodies were stressed. Small arguments became big fights. Violence increased. Hospitals were full. I saw hospitals. They were overflowing. Emergency rooms had people sitting on the floor. Heat stroke, heart attacks from heat stress, kidney failure because people were dehydrated. Older people were dying in large numbers. The heat was hardest on people over 65. Their bodies cannot regulate temperature as well. I saw a hospital in a poor country. They did not have enough beds. They did not have enough medicine. They did not have enough cold water. Doctors were working in rooms that were too hot. The doctors were getting sick too. The power was going out sometimes. When the power goes out, the air conditioning stops. Then people die faster. I saw morgues. They were full. The heat was killing thousands of people every day around the world, not in one place. Everywhere, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in America. Rich countries and poor countries, but poor countries suffered more. They always suffer more. They do not have the resources to adapt. They cannot buy air conditioning. They cannot build cooling centers. They cannot import food from other places when their crops fail. They just die. More of them die. I saw power grids failing. Too many people were using air conditioning. The electricity demand was too high. The grid could not handle it. Blackouts happened. When the power goes out in a heat wave, people die, especially old people, especially sick people. I saw an apartment building. It was 100 degrees inside. The elevators were not working. Old people could not go downstairs to find cool places. They were trapped. They died in their apartments, alone. The smell came after 3 days. Neighbors called for help, but help was busy. Help was overwhelmed. There were too many dead, too many to process quickly. I saw wildfires. The heat made the forests dry. One lightning strike, one spark from a power line, and the fire started. The fire moved fast. The firefighters could not stop it. It was too hot to fight the fire. The heat was beating the firefighters. They had to retreat. They had to let the fire burn. Whole towns burned. People had minutes to leave their homes. They took only their children and their pets. They left everything else. The fire took it all. I saw the ocean. The water was warm, too warm. Fish were dying. Coral was dead, white, bleached. The ocean could not absorb heat anymore. It was full. It was saturated. So the heat stayed in the air. The ocean usually helps us by taking heat. But in 2027, the ocean was too hot to help. It was like a sponge that cannot hold more water. The heat had nowhere to go. It just stayed and killed. I saw myself. I was standing in this vision. I was crying. Tears were on my face, but they were hot tears. Everything was hot. I wanted to wake up. I wanted to leave this vision, but he kept me there. He showed me more. He showed me that this is what happens when the world gets too warm. This is not imagination. This is physics. Hot air holds more moisture, but also hot air dries out soil. Hot air kills crops. Hot air kills people. I saw the year 2027 as a threshold. a door we walk through and cannot walk back. Once we enter that year, the old world is gone. The old normal is gone. We cannot bring it back. We must live in the heat. We must adapt or die. And many will die. The scientists say maybe millions, maybe more. I do not know the exact number, but I saw enough. I saw too much. I came back from that part of the vision shaking. Even though I was not in my body, I was shaking. The heat was not just temperature. It was suffering. It was death. It was the end of the world as we know it. And it is coming. It is coming in 2027. We cannot stop it now, but we must prepare. We must help each other. We must be ready. This is what he showed me about the heat. This is the truth. I wish it was not true, but I know it is. I saw it, I felt it, and now I must tell you. Then he showed me the rain, but it was not good rain, it was too much rain. In the southern United States, the sky opened. The water fell very hard. I saw Texas, I saw Louisiana. The rain came down like someone was pouring buckets from the sky. The streets became rivers, cars were floating away. I saw a red car. It was floating down a street that used to be a road. A woman was inside. She was pounding on the window. She could not get out. The water was rising too fast. She was screaming. I wanted to help her. I wanted to open the door, but I could not. I was just watching. This was the future. This was 2027. Houses were filling with water. People were climbing onto roofs. They were waiting for rescue that took too long. The emergency services were overwhelmed. Too many calls, not enough boats, not enough helicopters. People waited on roofs for hours in the sun without water to drink. Some people fell off. The roofs were slippery. The water was moving fast. It looked like a river, not a street. Furniture was floating by, couches, tables. People's lives floating away in dirty water. I saw a family on a roof. A mother, father, 2 children. The children were crying. They were hungry. They were scared. The father was trying to be strong, but I could see he was scared too. He was looking at the water level. It was still rising. He did not know if they would survive. They had no food. They had no water. The flood water was not safe to drink. It had chemicals in it. It had sewage in it. It had dead things in it. They were trapped. I saw South America, the Pacific coast, mudslides, the hills they just came down because the rain was too heavy for the ground to hold. The soil became liquid. It flowed like soup. It covered houses, it covered roads, it covered people. Whole villages were covered. People were digging with their hands trying to find their families. They did not have shovel. They used their bare hands. Their fingers were bleeding. They were crying and digging. Some people dug for days. They found their mothers, their fathers. Their children dead under the mud. The mud was heavy. It crushed the houses. It crushed the people inside. The crying was, I can still hear it. I can still hear that sound. It is in my ears even now. I saw a school. It was buried. Children were inside when the mud came. They were learning. They were laughing. Then the wall of mud came down the mountain. It was fast, faster than anyone could run. The building disappeared under brown mud just like that. Gone. Parents came looking. They could not find the building at first. Everything looked different. Everything was covered. They started digging. Other people helped, but it was too late. The air ran out. The children suffocated under the mud. I saw this. I wish I did not see this, but he showed me. He wanted me to know. The Panama Canal, I saw it. There was no water. The locks were dry. This was strange because I had just seen floods, but that is how it works. Too much water in one place, too little in another. The locks were dry concrete walls. Ships were stuck. Big ships, cargo ships full of containers. They could not move. There was not enough fresh water to fill the locks. The lakes that feed the canal were too low. The rain did not fall there. It fell in other places. The canal needs millions of gallons of fresh water for each ship. That water was gone. Global trade was stopping because of this. Ships had to go all the way around South America. That takes weeks longer. That costs much more money. The price of shipping went up. Everything became more expensive. Electronics, clothes, medicine, food, everything. People in stores could not buy what they needed. The shelves were empty, not because there was no food in the world, but because it could not get to them. The canal was broken. The connection was cut. I saw ships waiting, dozens of ships just sitting in the ocean, waiting for water that did not come. The captains were frustrated. The companies were losing money. The crews were running out of supplies. Some ships turned around. They decided to go the long way, around the bottom of South America. That is dangerous. The waters there are rough. Ships sink there, but they had no choice. They could not wait forever. Countries were arguing. Panama was in trouble. They needed the canal fees. That money was gone. The economy was hurting. People were losing jobs. Other countries wanted the water released from the lakes, but there was no water to release. It was a crisis, a water crisis. In a world with too much water in some places, there was not enough in this important place. It was not fair. The water was not fair. It came to the wrong places. It forgot the right places. And people suffered. People died. Because of water, too much or too little, both were deadly. Both were coming in 2027. Then he showed me Australia. He showed me the Amazon. He revealed to me that drought is not just absence. It is something that sits on the land. It drinks everything. It takes the water from the soil. It takes the water from the trees. It stays there and it does not leave. It is like a heavy thing pressing down. It makes the air feel different. It makes the ground cry out for water, but the water does not come. The drought just stays, day after day, week after week, month after month. It becomes normal, but it is not normal, it is death. Australia was burning. The forests were dry like paper. The eucalyptus trees were full of oil. They burned very hot, very fast. One spark and everything was fire. A lightning strike. A power line falling, a car backfiring. Any spark could start it, and once it started, it could not be stopped. The fire moved fast, faster than cars. People were running, but the fire was faster. I saw a family in a car. They were driving on a road. The fire was on both sides. The road was their only escape. But the fire jumped the road. It jumped in front of them. They had to stop. They had to run back, but the fire was behind them too. They were trapped. I saw their faces. I saw the fear. I cannot forget their faces. The sky was orange, not at sunset, all day. The sun was a red ball behind smoke. You could not see the blue sky. The smoke was everywhere. It filled your lungs. It made you cough. People were wearing masks, but the masks could not keep out all the smoke. People got sick. Their lungs hurt. Their eyes burned. The hospitals filled with people who could not breathe. The doctors were overwhelmed. There was not enough medicine, not enough oxygen. There were fire tornadoes. Yes, fire tornadoes. I saw them. Fire spinning like a tower, a kilometer wide. The fire was so strong it made its own wind. The heat rose fast into the sky. It pulled air from the sides. The air spun. The flames spun with it, a tower of fire moving across the land, destroying everything. It did not just burn things, it exploded them. Trees exploded from the heat. The sap boiled inside them. They burst apart. The fire tornado picked up burning branches. It threw them far away, starting new fires, miles away. You could not escape, you could not hide. Ash was falling in far cities. Buenos Aires, Auckland, cities that were not burning, but the ash traveled there, the smoke traveled there. The sunsets looked wrong, they looked red, they looked orange, they looked like the color of wounds, sick wounds. The light was wrong. People felt afraid when they saw the sun. It did not look like the sun anymore. It looked like something from another world, something angry, something wrong. The Amazon, the big forest, it was coughing smoke for 6 months. The fires there were different. They were not fast fires, they were slow fires, underground fires. The peat was burning. The soil itself was on fire. This was worse. You cannot put out underground fires easily. They burn and burn. The smoke kept coming. The forest kept dying. The rivers there were so low you could see the riverbed. Rivers that used to be deep. Rivers that used to have boats. Now they were just mud, cracked mud. Fish were dead in the mud. Thousands of fish. They could not swim to deeper water. There was no deeper water. They died in the sun. Their bodies dried up. The smell was terrible. The birds came to eat them. But then the birds had no water either. The birds died too. The trees were dropping leaves to save water, but there was no water to save. The rainforest was becoming dry and broken. Trees that were green for hundreds of years turned brown. They died standing up. Their leaves fell off. Their branches broke. The forest was quiet. No birds singing, no monkeys calling, just silence. The silence of death. Cattle were lying down in the cracked earth. They did not get up, they could not get up, they were too thirsty. Their owners were crying, the farmers had no money to buy food for the cattle. There was no grass, the grass was dead. The farmers had to watch their animals die. Some farmers shot their animals. They said it was more kind than letting them suffer. I heard the gunshots, I heard the crying. The farmers lost everything, their land, their animals, their way of life, gone because there was no water. I saw kangaroos. They were lying dead near roads. They were looking for water and could not find it. They came to the roads because sometimes there is water there. But there was no water, just heat, just sun, just death. The animals did not understand. They just knew they were thirsty. They just knew something was wrong. And then they died. Thousands of them. Millions maybe. I do not know the number, but it was many, too many. The drought sat on the land. It did not move. It did not leave, it was patient, it waited, it took everything, the water, the plants, the animals, the hope. People tried to pray, but the drought stayed, the sky stayed clear, the sun kept shining, the heat kept killing. This was Australia, this was the Amazon, this was 2027, and I was crying for the land, I was crying for the people, I was crying for the animals. No one deserved this, but it was coming. It was coming for all of them. Then he showed me the Atlantic Ocean. I was floating above it. The water was blue. It looked calm, but I knew something was wrong. I looked for storms. I looked for hurricanes. All my life I feared these storms. The big spinning storms that destroy cities. I grew up in Florida. I knew about hurricanes. I boarded up windows. I evacuated. I feared them, but I also understood them. They were part of life. But in 2027 I found almost nothing. The Atlantic was quiet, too quiet. I looked at the Caribbean. I looked at the Gulf of Mexico. I looked at the coast of Africa where storms usually start. Nothing. Empty. The water was warm. The water had energy, but the storms were not forming. He revealed to me why. He showed me the upper atmosphere. He showed me the wind shear. The hot Pacific was making strong winds high in the sky. These winds were blowing from west to east, very fast, very strong. When a hurricane tries to form, it needs to build a tall tower of clouds. It needs to grow up into the sky. But the wind shear pushes the top of the tower over. It blows the clouds apart. The storm cannot organize. It cannot spin. It cannot grow. I saw storms trying to be born. I saw clusters of thunderstorms over the ocean. They had the energy. They had the warm water. But when they tried to grow tall, the wind shear cut them down. It was like someone building a tower of blocks and another person keeps knocking the top off. The tower never gets finished. The storm never becomes a hurricane. Only 3 named storms, 3, all year. In a normal year there might be 15 or 20, but in 2027 only 3. That should be good news. That should make people happy. People should be celebrating. No hurricanes means no destroyed cities, no flooded coasts, no deaths from wind and water. But it was not good. It was bad in disguise. It was a trick, because the energy did not disappear. The hot water still had energy. The sun still heated the ocean. All that heat, all that energy, it went somewhere. It had to go somewhere. The energy went into the air. It went into the land. It became heat waves. It became droughts. It became floods. The hurricane energy transformed into other destruction. Instead of 3 big storms with names, there was endless heat, endless dryness, endless suffering spread across months, across the whole year. I saw a weatherman on television. He was confused. He was trying to explain this to people. He said the hurricane season was quiet. He said people should be relieved. But he looked worried. He knew something was wrong. The models had predicted this wrong. The scientists did not predict exactly where the energy would go. They knew about wind shear, but they did not know it would be this strong. They did not know it would steal all the hurricanes. But the energy always goes somewhere. This is a law of nature. Energy cannot disappear. It can only change. You cannot have a hot world and expect it to be peaceful. The heat moves. It changes form, but it destroys. It always destroys. I thought about the people who prepare for hurricanes, the emergency managers, the people who sell plywood for windows, the shelters that open every year. In 2027 they were not needed, but they were busy anyway. They were busy with other disasters, heat emergencies, fire evacuations. They were still saving people, just from different things. I saw the ocean currents. They were changing. The heat was moving in the water down deep. The ocean was absorbing so much heat, more than ever before. This was changing the patterns, changing when and where fish swim, changing the weather far away. The Atlantic was connected to everything. Even when it was quiet on the surface, it was changing underneath. The three storms that did form were strange. They were not strong, they were weak. They fell apart quickly. One of them hit Mexico. It brought some rain, but not enough to end the drought. The rain fell on dry ground and disappeared. The ground was too dry to absorb it properly. The water ran off. It caused flash floods in the desert. Then it was gone. The drought remained. I felt sad watching this. I felt confused. I always thought no hurricanes would be a blessing, but I learned that the weather is a system. When you remove one part, the other parts go wrong. The hurricanes were part of the balance. They brought water to places that needed it. They mixed the ocean. They moved heat around. Without them, the heat just stayed. It just built up. It just killed in different ways. The Atlantic taught me a lesson. Nothing is simple, nothing is only good or only bad. The quiet ocean was screaming a warning, but people did not hear it. They thought they were safe. They were not safe. They were just facing a different danger, a slower danger, a more widespread danger, and that was worse. Then he showed me India. I heard it before I saw it. 1 billion people holding their breath, waiting, listening for thunder, watching the sky, the monsoon, the rain that comes every year. It was late, very late. People were praying. People were performing rituals, begging the gods for rain, but the gods did not answer, or maybe they could not answer. Maybe the system was too broken. The Pacific was too hot. The winds were too wrong. The rain could not come. When the monsoon finally arrived, it was weak. It rained a little. Then it stopped. It started again. Then it stopped again. It was not steady. It was not enough. Then it simply did not come for whole provinces, whole states. The rice paddies became hard clay, like ceramic, hard and cracked. The mud dried into patterns, like a puzzle, but it was not a game. It was death. The farmers stood in fields that should have been underwater. Rice needs water. Rice grows in water. That is how it works. For thousands of years, this is how it worked. But now the fields were dry. The farmers looked at skies that betrayed them. The sky was clear when it should have been cloudy. The sun was bright when it should have been hidden. The farmers did not know what to do. They had planted the seeds. They had done the work, but they could not make the rain come. I saw a farmer. His name was Ravi. I do not know how I knew his name, but I knew it. He was 60 years old. He had farmed the same land his father farmed, and his father's father for generations. He knew the cycles. He knew the seasons. But 2027 was different. 2027 was wrong. He stood in his field. The rice plants were small. They were yellow. They were dying. He touched them. He knew they were dead. He fell to his knees. He cried, but he had no tears left. His body had no water to make tears. He just made sounds, sad sounds, sounds I will never forget. His wife came to him. She brought him water to drink, but he shook his head. He was ashamed. He could not provide. He could not grow the food. The bank would take the land. He had loans. All farmers have loans. They borrow to buy seeds, to buy fertilizer. They pay back after the harvest, but there was no harvest. There was nothing to sell. The bank would come. They would take everything, his home, his dignity, his future. The hunger started, not as tragedy at first, as mathematics. Less water means less grain. Less grain means less survival. The equations were relentless. The numbers did not care about human tears. You could calculate it. You could see it coming, but you could not stop it. Children became thin. Their arms were like sticks. Their stomachs were big, but not with food, with hunger, sickness. It is called kwashiorkor. The body fills with fluid because it has no protein. The children looked like they were pregnant, but they were starving. Their hair turned red. Their skin cracked. They were too weak to play. They just lay down. They just waited. Mothers cooked water with spices to make it feel like soup, to give the children something warm in their stomachs, to pretend there was food, but there was no rice. There was no grain. There was no lentils. The spices were the only thing they had: turmeric, cumin, hot water. That was the meal, that was dinner, for the whole family. The warehouses were empty. The government had stored grain for emergencies, but the emergency was too big. There was not enough stored, the stored grain ran out. The markets had prices too high for poor people. A bag of rice cost more than a month of wages. People could not buy it. They could only look at it. They could only smell it. Then the shops closed. There was nothing left to sell. The hunger walked through villages like a monster. It came at night. It took the old people first. They were weak. They had no reserves. They went to sleep and did not wake up. Then the young children, bobbies, toddlers, their bodies could not fight. They got sick. Diarrhea from dirty water, infections from weakness. They died quietly, in their mother's arms. I saw a hospital. It was full of hungry children. Doctors were trying to feed them. They had tubes, they had special food, but there were too many, hundreds, thousands. The doctors were crying. They could not save them all. They had to choose. Which child gets food? Which child dies? How do you choose? They could not choose. They tried to feed them all, but the food ran out. The farmers stood in dry fields. They had no more tears. They just stood there. They had prayed, but the rain did not come. They had worked, but the crops did not grow. They had trusted, but the trust was broken. The land betrayed them. The sky betrayed them. The system betrayed them. They were alone, with their hunger, with their shame, with their dying children. I saw India, I saw hunger. Real hunger, not missing a meal, not being uncomfortable, but starving, dying. Millions of people because the monsoon failed, because the Pacific was too hot, because the world changed, and they were caught in the change. They did not cause it, but they suffered it. They suffered it most. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell someone to help them, to send food, to send water, but I was in the vision. I could only watch, and now I can only tell you, this is coming. 2027 is coming. The hunger is coming. Please, please believe me. Please prepare. Please help before it is too late. Then he showed me something strange, a warehouse. I do not know why this stayed in my mind, but it did. Maybe because it was so simple, so normal. A building with shelves, but empty, completely empty. It was in Côte d'Ivoire. That is in Africa, West Africa. I had to think about where it was. I remembered my school lessons. Africa, below the Sahara, near the ocean. That is where they grow cocoa. That is where chocolate comes from. The warehouse was for cocoa, chocolate, but it was empty. The shelves were bare. No bags, no piles, nothing. Just dust, just empty wood. The doors were open. The wind blew through, but nothing was inside. I walked through it in my vision. I touched the shelves. They were dry. They were hot. The whole building was hot. No air conditioning, just heat. Outside, I saw the cocoa trees, or what used to be cocoa trees. They were dead. They had baked in the sun. The heat killed them. The El Nino brought drought to this part of Africa. The rain stopped. The trees needed water. They needed shade. They needed cool. But 2027 gave them sun, too much sun. The leaves turned brown. They fell off. The pods dried on the branches. The beans inside shriveled up. They became useless. Not good for chocolate. Not good for anything. The farmers had tried to water them. They carried water from far away. They used their last money to buy water, but it was not enough. You cannot water an orchard with buckets when the sun is that hot. The water evaporated before it reached the roots. The trees died anyway. One by one, row by row, the whole orchard became dry and dead. Brown sticks. That is all that was left. Brown sticks in dry soil. I saw a farmer sitting under one dead tree. He was an old man. His skin was dark and wrinkled. He had worked with cocoa his whole life. His father had done this, his grandfather. Cocoa was his family's work, his family's pride. Now it was gone. He held a dried pod in his hands. He was turning it over and over, looking at it, remembering when it was green and full, when it was alive. Now it was dead, like everything else. I saw the city, Abidjan, the port city. The warehouse was there near the water. Ships were supposed to come, ships from Europe, from America. They were supposed to take the cocoa away, make it into chocolate, but the ships were waiting. They were empty. They had nothing to load. The captains were angry. The shipping companies were losing money. They had schedules, they had contracts, but there was no cocoa. I saw commodity traders. They were in offices in London, in New York, in Paris. They were screaming into phones, sugar futures, cocoa prices. They were panicking. The prices were going up and up, doubling, tripling more. Chocolate became very expensive. Only rich people could buy it. A chocolate bar cost $20, $30. People stopped buying. The companies that make chocolate were worried. They had no raw material. Their factories were silent. I saw a child in a rich country. He wanted chocolate for his birthday. His mother went to the store. She looked at the price. She could not afford it. She bought him something else. He was disappointed. He did not understand. It was just chocolate. Why was it so expensive? Why was it gone? His mother did not know how to explain. She did not know about El Nino. She did not know about the warehouse in Africa. She just knew something was wrong. But this was just a small sign, a small thing. It was not important compared to rice and wheat. People can live without chocolate. They cannot live without rice. They cannot live without bread, but it showed me something. It showed me that the weather was emptying civilization's pantry, shelf by shelf, item by item, starting with small luxuries, moving to necessities. It was not just weather anymore. It was food security, it was global trade, it was economics, it was survival. The Pacific Ocean changing its circulation was affecting chocolate in Africa. Everything is connected. The ocean, the rain, the crops, the prices, the hunger. One thing touches another. I saw this clearly. The empty warehouse scared me more than I can explain. Because if chocolate was gone, what about bread? What about rice? What about the things we really need? I saw the future of that warehouse. I saw it being used for something else, storage for aid, food from other countries coming in, not going out, because Africa was not producing enough, because the climate had changed, because the old ways did not work anymore. The warehouse was a symbol of emptiness, a symbol of loss, a symbol of the new world that was coming. I cried when I saw it. I cried for the farmer. I cried for the child who wanted chocolate. I cried for the world that was losing simple pleasures, simple things we took for granted, things we thought would always be there, but they were not always going to be there. 2027 taught me that. The empty warehouse taught me that. Then he revealed to me the truth about why this was happening. He showed me that El Nino is natural. It has happened for thousands of years. The ocean warms, the ocean cools. This is normal. This is part of Earth's cycle. The Pacific has been doing this since long before humans existed. It will keep doing it after we are gone. It is natural. It is not evil. It is just a pattern. But he also showed me something else. He showed me the last 100 years. He showed me the year 1900, then 1950, then 2000, then 2027. He showed me the change. The world is already warmer now. People made it warmer. We added 1.4 degrees since the old times. This is not natural. This is from human life, from human choices. I saw the factories, smoke coming from tall chimneys, day and night, never stopping, making steel, making cement, making everything we use. I saw cars, millions of cars, billions of cars driving on roads everywhere, exhaust coming out the back. Little pipes of smoke, each one small, but together huge. I saw power plants, burning coal, burning gas, making electricity, making heat, releasing carbon into the air. I saw the air change. It was invisible, but it was real. The carbon dioxide, it wrapped around the earth like a blanket. It trapped heat. The sun came in, but the heat could not get out. The earth got warmer slowly, year by year, decade by decade. People did not notice at first. It was too slow. One year was hot, the next was cool. People said it was normal. They said it was weather, not climate. But the scientists knew. They measured. They saw the trend. They warned, but people did not listen, or they listened but did not change. The cars kept driving. The factories kept smoking. The coal kept burning. The blanket got thicker. The earth got warmer. 1.4 degrees. That is the number. That is how much we changed the world. So when El Nino comes now, it is not starting from the normal place. It is starting from a hot place. It is making everything worse. Like if you have a fever and then get sick with something else. The fever makes the other sickness stronger. Your body is already weak, already hot. The new sickness hits harder. It hurts more. It lasts longer. It can kill you. That is what is happening to Earth. We gave the Earth a fever. Then El Nino came. the natural cycle. But now it is hitting a sick planet, a hot planet, so the droughts are worse. The floods are worse. The heat is worse. Everything is amplified. Everything is magnified. The natural becomes unnatural. The normal becomes deadly. He revealed to me that El Nino did not create the heat. It unlocked it. It released it. The 1.4 degrees was stored in the ocean, stored in the air, waiting, building up. El Nino was the key that opened the door. The warm water in the Pacific released heat into the atmosphere. It added to the 1.4 degrees. It made it 1.8 degrees, maybe more. The natural cycle became something unnatural because of the baseline warming. The 1.4 degrees was priming. It was preparing the world for worse damage, like loading a gun. The gun was already loaded. El Nino just pulled the trigger. The bullet was already there, waiting. The damage was already set up. El Nino just made it happen faster, stronger, more deadly. This had never happened in the memory of humans, not in 100,000 years. Humans have lived through El Ninos before, many times, but not like this. Not with the world this hot, not with this much carbon in the air. This is new. This is different. This is the first time. 2027 is the first time, but it will not be the last, unless we change. We built our world on a foundation that no longer exists. The old normal is gone. The climate we knew as children, the weather our grandparents knew, it is gone. We are standing on a cracking floor. We do not know it yet. But 2027 will show us. The heat will show us. The droughts will show us. The hunger will show us. The foundation is gone, and we must build a new one or fall. He showed me this not to blame us, not to shame us, but to wake us up, to make us see we did this. We can undo it, not quickly, not easily, but we can stop adding to the problem. We can remove the blanket, slowly, carefully. We can heal the fever if we act, if we choose to change. The old normal is gone, but a new normal can come. A better normal, if we listen, if we learn, if we love the earth enough to change. This is why this is happening. This is the truth. Now you know, now you must choose. I asked him, I asked without words. I asked if we can stop it. I was begging really. I was pleading, please tell me this can be stopped. Please tell me we can fix this. I did not want to believe that 2027 was certain, that all that suffering was certain, that all those deaths were certain. I wanted hope. I needed hope. He showed me that some of it is already coming. He was honest with me. He did not lie. He showed me the warm water in the Pacific. It was already there. It was already moving. The process had started. The calendar was already turning toward August 2026. Toward August 30, 2026. That date was fixed. It was coming no matter what. We cannot stop 2027. It is already building in the ocean. The energy is already stored. The heat is already moving. The events are already in motion. But then he showed me something else. He showed me a fork in the road, two paths. One path went to worse things, to 2028 being hotter than 2027, to 2029 being worse still, to a world that keeps getting more extreme, more deadly, more broken. That path was wide. It was easy to walk on. It was the path of doing nothing, of continuing like we are, of ignoring the warnings. That path led to more suffering, much more suffering. But there was another path, narrower, harder to walk, but possible. That path went to healing, to stabilization, to hope. We can choose to change. We can still save the years after 2027. We can save 2028. We can save 2029. We can save the 2030s. We can save our children's future, our grandchildren's future. It is not too late for that. It is only too late to stop 2027. Then he revealed to me something important, something I must tell you now, something you must remember. He told me that when these things begin to happen, when the signs start in late August 2026, the believers must be indoors. They must not be outside when the first changes come. They must be in their homes, safe inside, doors closed, windows closed. He showed me that being indoors will be protection when the first waves of this event begin. The indoors will be a covering, a shelter. I saw why. I saw the air changing on that date. August 30, 2026. Something happens. The atmosphere shifts. The heat increases suddenly in some places. The storms begin. The first signs appear. Being outside on that day and in the days after will be dangerous. The heat will be too strong. The air will be wrong. Those who are inside in their homes with doors closed will be protected. It is like the Passover. Remember the Passover, the blood on the doorposts, the angel of death passing over. This is similar. Being inside is the protection. I saw families gathering inside, praying together, reading scripture together, waiting. The world outside was changing, but inside they were safe. The Lord protected them, He covered them, He sheltered them. This is what He showed me, this is what I must tell you. Mark this date, August 30, 2026. Be indoors that day. Do not travel that day. Do not work outside that day. Be home, be safe. Wait for the Lord's protection inside your homes. But that is just the beginning, that is just surviving the start. After that, we must do more. We must change. He showed me that love is action. Love is not just feeling. Love is not just words. Love is doing. Love is changing how we live. Love is hard work. Love is sacrifice. Love is using less oil, less coal, less gas. Love is driving less, taking buses, taking trains, walking when we can. Love is turning off lights. Love is not buying things we do not need. Love is eating less meat because meat takes so much energy to produce. Love is buying local food so trucks do not have to drive so far. Love is using less plastic because plastic comes from oil. Every piece of plastic is a piece of the problem. Love is taking care of the air, the ocean, the trees. Love is planting trees, many trees. Trees take carbon from the air. They store it in their wood. We need more trees. We need forests. We need to stop cutting down the Amazon. The Amazon is the lungs of the world. We need it to breathe. We need it to live. Love is preparing for what is coming, stocking food, storing water, helping neighbors, building community. The government will not save us. We must save each other. We must know the people who live near us. We must help each other when the heat comes, when the drought comes, when the floods come. Love is sharing what we have, even when we have little. Love is preventing what is worse. By changing now, we stop 1.4 degrees from becoming 2 degrees or 3 degrees. Those numbers mean death. Those numbers mean the end of civilization. But we can hold the line. We can stop the rise. We can bring it down, slowly, over many years, but we must start now. We still have time, not much but some. Maybe a few years to really change, to really turn things around. We can choose a different path. The heat does not have to keep rising. We can stop at 1.4 degrees. We can maybe go back to 1 degree, to 0.5 degrees to safety, but we must act. We must act now. Not tomorrow, not next year, now, today, every day. I saw people changing. I saw communities coming together. I saw churches becoming shelters. I saw people sharing food. I saw solar panels going up on roofs. I saw wind turbines turning. I saw coal plants closing. I saw hope. Real hope, not fake hope. Not wishful thinking, but hope based on action, based on change, based on love. And when August 30, 2026 comes, remember what I saw. Be indoors, be safe, pray, read scripture, hold your family close. Wait for the Lord's protection inside your homes. The storm will pass. The heat will come, but you will be safe. You will be covered. Then when it is time, come out and help rebuild, help heal, help change the world. This is what we can still do. This is the hope. This is the path. It is narrow, it is hard, but it is possible. Choose this path. Please choose life, choose love, choose action before it is too late, before the door closes. While there is still time, while there is still hope, please. Then I felt a pull. A strong pull, like a rope around my middle pulling me down. Fast, everything went dark. The light was gone, the visions were gone, just darkness. Then I felt pain, my chest hurt so much. Someone was pushing on me, hard, pushing and pushing. I heard a sound, a loud sound, like electricity. Then I heard the beep machine again, but now it was making a different sound. Rhythm, beep, 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 steady, strong, alive. Please, please listen. I am not crazy, I am not making this up. Why would I make this up? Why would I want this to be true? I do not want it to be true, I want it to be false. But it is true, I know it is true, I saw it, I felt it, I was there. We still have time to change what comes after, but first we must believe. We must see what is coming. We must prepare. We must act. Please, do not ignore this. Do not delete this. Do not laugh at this. Please, the children in India, the farmers in Africa, the old woman in her hot room, they are real. They are coming. Their suffering is coming, unless we change, unless we love, unless we act. Please, I am begging you. Listen, believe, prepare, change, love before it is too late. Before August 30, 2026. Before 2027, while there is still time, please.